All right, welcome to the Chess 1000 Unique Experiences. And so I built up those experiences to be focused on what I know. And generally, they are from my own experience, my own games, and just general thoughts for me. If you're looking for, just fun commentaries, there's a ton of them on Twitch. I would like to focus on something that only I'm aware of and my own point of view on different discussions. Okay, well, so let's get started for today's topics. Let me quickly share my screen just to show the main topics. So I put those four items in the email invite, and actually let me break it down a little bit into two categories. The first two are focused on training and improvements in chess. And then the second one is a little bit more philosophical on how to deal with losing and how to find your unique strengths. So the first one is more practical and the second one is more just philosophical and kind of reflection. Okay, so I have students that's in different chess experiences and have different goals with chess. And I would generally categorize most of the chess players as casual chess players, and then slightly more serious where they want to improve on their ranking or rating online, but not much more than that. Having some improvement is good, but nothing more serious than just playing online. And then the next level up is for those players who are really serious and they will be considered playing in-person tournament, even now or definitely after COVID calms down. So for the first level of just straight casual players, for them, really just play chess whenever they feel like it. It's a hobby. If they take lessons, my lessons or anybody else's lesson, most of the coach will suggest play a couple games a week. For my own students, I recommend them play at least 2 games a week online. And then if they don't play, I ask them to play at least 1 game during the class. So that way they have a feel of what playing chess is like instead of just watching or learning content. So chess is a game where you have to play against other players, have a feel of the nerves, the realization of a blunder from yourself or realization of your opponent made a blunder and you won the game on the spot, the excitement. So I just feel like even for the casual players, playing 1 or 2 games a week is a good starting point. And to that point, like for me, I play tennis casually. I don't train. I take some lessons once in a while, and then I just play games whenever I feel like it. That's a casual hobby for me. I have some investment into it, but nothing more than that. I'm not worried about my own improvement. I just play for fun and make friends. Similarly for the casual chess players. Play a couple games for fun, and then you can enjoy the lessons, the content, but try to get a feel of what it feels like of playing. All right, the next level is for players who want to improve, but maybe just improve at home, playing online. So I would say for this group, since the pandemic, actually, there's a lot more people coming into this group, and there's a lot more opportunities of trying to improve slightly online. Because before pandemic, there's not so many online tournaments, and it's kind of just you have to figure out the time and try to figure out what to do online in general, because most of the kids were still used to just in-person lessons or any kind of activities. But for those who are trying to improve slightly online, what you can do is all of my students have Lichess account. So what we want to do is play roughly, I would say 5 to 10 rapid games a week on Lichess. And then if you still have more time after that, come into puzzles and do some training. So for anybody, you can start with checkmate in 1 puzzles, and then for those who are a little bit stronger, you can do checkmate in 2 and any of those other checkmates. I would suggest against checkmate in 5 for any of those. Just go up to checkmate in 2. If you really want to challenge yourself, try to do some checkmate in 3. All those other checkmate patterns are good to use. And then anything under the motif sections are good to practice. And one way I would suggest is, besides checkmate in 1 puzzle, maybe some checkmate in 2 puzzles, do those every day. For other patterns, just pick 1 pattern a day. So each day when you're working on 1 pattern, all you're focusing on is that pattern. So let's use fork, a familiar one for many students. Let's try to find a fork from this position. So right here, the king is open and the knight is not protected. So the fork right here is queen f5, giving a check, and now we can pick up the knight. Let me do another one. All right, so this one is actually already a little bit tricky. I would say the king and the bishop are the targets, but let me see, does rook e7 work? Black has rook g7, looks like that's defending. Okay, but I think the idea is after we trade everything, then we can take the knight. I believe actually it doesn't like that, so take this, then okay, I'll give a check right here to pick up the knight, and either take this or take this, either way. All right, yeah, this one is already harder because my rating is kind of high, but for most of my students and the newer players, just focus on each pattern, and when you're in that pattern for that particular day, your mind is completely focused on searching for that pattern, and you start asking automatic questions to find the solution. And we want to build that training regimen where you start asking automatic questions. So during the games, you don't have to think as much. The questions automatically come to your mind when you see a certain situation. So coming back to the casual players that's trying to improve, for you, play roughly 5 to 10 rapid games on Lichess, and then do some puzzles as a starting point. And as you get stronger, there are further suggestions. But in just to begin the training process, do the checkmate, and then each one of those motifs once a day, and then maybe after a week, you can try to do some mixing on those motifs. And the way to do mixing is you just go to puzzles and then randomize the puzzle patterns, and then see which one that you still need to improve on, and then work more on that. Okay, and then the next level is for kids and students who are really serious. They are into playing in-person tournament, where there is something called US Chess Federation, and we all have US chess ratings. And the reason my website, and I've been building the teaching business, I call this Chess 1000. The goal is to reach 1000 rating in the USCF tournaments. So to give context, roughly 700 is the 50th percentile of all the rated players in the US. And then to reach 1000, you are already at the top between 65 to 75 percentile. So getting to 1000 is a challenge for a lot of new players. Like for somebody who already played chess a while, foreign country, they probably come in and get to 1500. For example, myself, I already played chess 7 years before I came to US. My first rating is 1900. But for a lot of players who just start chess in the US, you probably start with like 200 or 400. And then after 6 months to a year of consistent tournament playing, you can get to 1000 roughly. So For the tournament play, in Atlanta, there's a chess center on Old Alabama Road. It's very popular. There's a lot of opportunities. So it's really helpful for a lot of kids. I would say up to 2,200 in Atlanta is a great place to improve in chess. And then I have some students in Seattle. There's tons of opportunities. If you just search in-person tournaments or Scholastic tournament, you will find a lot of good information. So generally, the big cities have more opportunities, but in remote areas, you can also search. And actually, let me go to a website real quick. So US Chess, this is the Chess Federation. And then once we're in here, you can go to play and then upcoming tournaments. And I think we need to search by states. And all of the states, let's just use Georgia as an example. And yeah, nowadays, because of pandemic, there's also the online possibility, which is really helpful for a lot of the casual players who just want to do some improvements online. But certainly this helps the players who are wanting to play in-person tournaments as well. Let's just search for Georgia right now. And here are all the tournaments that's available in Georgia over the next month or so. Okay, so for the players who are wanting to play in person, first just realize what kind of tournaments are available. And I would say most Scholastic tournament is either half a day or a full day on the weekend. So it's certainly a commitment, but there's enough opportunity to play half a day, or some tournaments are on Friday nights. So those are good opportunities. Get a feel of what is like to play in person, get a rating, and then slowly try to improve that to 1,000, and then later on 1,500 and 2,000. An analogy I like to use is comparing the in-person tournament rating to running. So 500, I would say, is like running a 5K as a runner. And then 1,000 is like running a 6K. 1,500 is like half marathon, and then 2,000 is running a full marathon. So somebody probably can get to 1,000 or even 500 without almost no training. They can just play, maybe do some puzzle, and they get to 1,500. That's possible, although that's a small percent of chess players get there like that. Mostly you probably train a little bit. Some of them, just train a little bit, get to 500 or 1,000, and then they need to train a little bit more to go even further. So, the rating is a good measurement, although at the same time, it's not completely accurate. So it's a journey to get to 1,000 and certainly to get to 1,500 and 2,000. But having that benchmark, having that motivation is really helpful for kids to enjoy not only playing chess, but really help them realize training in chess is very important, and slowly realize their own accomplishment, build the confidence, and then realize, when they play against adults who play chess over 20 years, they can win. And that's a really powerful confidence booster. Okay, so that's all the training components. Let's go to the second part. This is a little bit more philosophical. So first, I mentioned here why working towards kids' unique strengths instead of weaknesses. So this is something that, both I'm trying to figure out my own experiences, and also just from time to time talking with parents, I realized, we all have a tendency to think about what is bad, what is not working for us, which everybody has. But to me, it's much more fun and much more effective if you start focusing on realizing your own strengths and try to work towards that. Now, with that said, like for chess players, the first thing you do need to figure out how to reduce your blunders, what I call baby blunders or free lunch in the games when I talk to students. You want to avoid giving away free pieces. So that's kind of like the minimum. You need to learn how to do the addition before trying to learn algebra, right? So get rid of the blunders. That takes some practice. But after that, you don't want to just work on your weakness. Then you want to start really focusing on strengths. For example, if a player really likes attacking chess, they like to sacrifice, attack opponent's king, you don't want them to just play in-game, trade a position into an in-game, play something they're not comfortable at. You really want to focus on finding opportunities to really get the kind of positions where they thrive. They enjoy the process of attacking, and even if they lose, they probably had a really fun time. So this is from the chess technical point of view. But really for school, for other activities, it's very important for both parents and eventually for the kids themselves to realize what they really enjoy doing. And while realizing that, while learning about that, you figure out, okay, this is my competitive advantage. And by knowing that what you're really good at and continue to sharpen your own techniques in what you're good at rather than what the world wants you to be good at, you gain your own unique strength, and then you can use that as a competitive advantage where others can never be as much of you as you are, right? So one example I like to use is, for a lot of parents, they like to ask questions whether chess help college applications, and my answer is yes, but not directly. And like there are some chess schools, they're reasonably at, let's say, the 20, maybe even rank 50 to 100. They offer chess scholarship. That's one thing. So you can win some tournament and get a full ride scholarship to those schools. But to get to the Ivy League, to the top tier schools, just by chess itself, you can get a scholarship or even get in. But how chess can help is indirectly. If, let's say, the GPA of two students are the same, the SAT scores are the same, even a lot of the extracurricular, volunteer things are the same. If you have chess and you have experience of going through the trials and tribulation of improving, failing down, and then try to improve again to get to a certain point. That's a unique experience that your neighbor or the student, the classmate next door or whatever, they don't have. And that becomes your advantage in terms of applying school or any other things that you want to compete with other students. So chess can indirectly help, whether it's school application or any kind of other competition with others, in terms of using another arena, opening up an arena that you're good at and use that to your advantage for better outcomes. So that's why I really like to have this discussion a lot of times, and I'm really focusing on thinking about my own strengths a lot of times as well, instead of trying to fix all the weaknesses where, let other people talk about that. For us, our own, let's focus on our strengths and try to figure out how to double down and take advantage of that. Okay, that leaves the last thing. Why losing in chess as a kid is really a good thing. So I started losing in chess. I started playing chess when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I started losing games immediately, right? So I had the experience of losing, failing. Sometimes I have to play against stronger players and I lose, just disappointed as a kid. But later on, I have experienced, when I was 1900, I lost to a 1200. That was not a fun experience at all. But by going through those experiences when I was really young, I was between 4 to 10 years old, I went through all those experiences. I realized a lot of times you just don't worry about losing so much anymore because you're used to it. Whereas, there are students who get to college and they never had failures before, which is really not in a fun spot, right? So if you can fail and fail really small when you're young, all the future experiences of failure or just obstacles does not feel so feel so uncomfortable anymore. So the idea is you want to lose a little bit, and then as you go through those experiences, start realizing, okay, losing is not bad. Losing is actually more of a learning experience. And sometimes you can even design experiments. For example, like when I was in college, I applied 20 some jobs and not getting any interview at all. And maybe after applying 50, I have some interviews, and then very close to 100, I eventually get a position. But when you realize, okay, I'm interviewed, the goal is not to get a job, but the goal is to practice and to learn about the process. That is something that is become really valuable, and you start designing the experience where you're not worried about the results anymore. You're worried about more focus on how to practice and how to learn from that exercise. Similarly in chess, one way I suggest first for the really young kids, if as a parent you want to tell them, okay, you play this game, and the goal of this game is not to win or lose. The goal of the game is first complete the game without resigning. Even if you make a mistake, don't give up, keep fighting. And second is, okay, after a game, whether you win or lose, what are some interesting points from this game? What are a new thing or a new theme, or maybe a theme that you already know? It could be a fork, be some kind of checkmate. Ask them about that. What are something that you realize? So this also helps kids observation in terms of when they're playing. So using those, basically changing the incentive of playing a game and not worrying about the win or lose, but more focused on the substance of the experience will be really great experience for the kids. Okay, so that covers it all here. Basically not afraid of losing, just playing for fun, and while during that experience, try to pick up more valuable ideas. And then certainly what we talked about before, work more towards your strengths rather than just completely focus on the weaknesses all the time. All right, so to summarize, for training and playing, different levels, different goals, but for anybody who is trying to improve, play a little bit more, try to use the puzzles, and then for players who are looking for playing in-person tournament now or once COVID settles down, there's a lot of opportunities. You can search on US Chess to find out all the information. And just to show this link again, you can go to uschess.org. Once you're there, click on play and then upcoming tournaments to get to the page where you can do the search. Right, so we'll wrap it up there. Any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll see how I want to design this kind of experiences. Happy to hear any suggestions or ideas, and look forward to talk more chess and all the fun around improving and learning in chess.